further ahead than Misaka, but once again, he is an assassin player compared to a tank player, and kills do count for more than assists in this lineup, but he is still sitting very high up on that table.
Yeah, and it really shows that all it takes is just one good day for TeamNut, one good performance by players like Mercy, and they can certainly cause a little bit of a headache for SPT. First map, first battleground chosen between those two is Battlefield of Eternity. It was chosen by SPT. Comes with very little surprise because Dragonshire and BOE are still two of their strongest battlegrounds in terms of win rate overall.
And we're going to be heading into that draft, and it is going to be TeamNut with the first ban, immediately removing the Genji, a wonderful Melody C hero, so not wanting to handle that.
Absolutely true. Melody C is very lethal on that. And we have seen, you know, the few times that Genji was actually let through yesterday and the day before yesterday, the team that let it go through usually regretted it if it wasn't the team that actually got it. So, yeah, Genji is still quite the solid choice, and this time around already we see a little bit of a switch up here. Two top-tier supports, Whitemane and Decker Kane, taken out of the equation. Maiev on top of that, which means Diablo, one of the most banned heroes up to this point in China, is left for the taking.
That he is. So is Garrosh as well, but Diablo is once again very prioritized, as you already mentioned.
Yep.
This isn't a great Abatha map, so I doubt we'll see that, as he does get banned snuck away sometimes. Hanzo to start off, though. They want to get Mercy onto one of his topper heroes. Topper? Thanks, Brain.
And if you think about it, Tetra, right, it's BOE for a reason. So with Hanzo and the strong PvE clearing that he has, he still remains one of the top contested heroes on this battleground in particular. And we see the Phoenix choice over the Raynor. Raynor normally becomes this anti-Hanzo racer. And you know what? TeamNut, they're not going to ask twice. They're not going to beg twice for this opportunity. They now have the two strongest PvE clearing auto attackers in the game.
Oh my god, please pick Exterminator and just wreck. Just don't even fight, just split. Just do objectives and split push and just win. Oh man, that would be incredible.
That it would, but you can't help but feel that SPT has a plan. I don't think they would willingly let all these three heroes go through, especially with a player like Lucky, who's a Hanzo god. He's probably one of the most reliable and successful Hanzo players in the league. They must have a plan behind this. So ideally, the way you want to play it, if you face those strong PvE clearers like Raynor and Hanzo, you want to go for team fighting. You want to go for quick kills so you can snowball ahead in a team fight with a man or two advantage, and then win the objective this way. Garrosh and Malfurion coming in. So a lot of strong CC right now available, Tetra, right? Stuns and roots. They're going to have to be really careful, TeamNut that is, not to get caught.
And they will going to have to play around that very well. Diablo, one of those heroes who is very dive heavy, and if you don't immediately get a follow-up, then Diablo suddenly finds himself behind a wall, or in some tower range, or just in the enemy team, which is not always where he wants to be. So as such, Garrosh is quite reasonable. That's a Lucio coming in here, so maybe they are just going for PvE, just rotating around if they've got like Yarel for disengage. That's...
Just want to make sure that 7 Milk is not in the mix here, because he used to be that Lucio pick last phase, the substitute and team manager of TeamNut that we saw a couple of times there towards the end of last phase. But no, he's not indeed in the team, right? He is still on the bench. And wow, Lucio, I mean, the movement speed he provides could very well help those immobile characters like Mercy on the Hanzo and Raynor, right? So to stay away and keep a healthy distance from that Garrosh. But still, we haven't seen a whole lot of Lucio as of late.
We have not. That is very strange and unexpected. I mean, we saw it at the Eastern Clash, brought out by our wonderful Blossom friend, but...
Yep. Had a lag, by the way. And
yeah, lots of them from me as well. I'm still circling.
Okay. So let's actually get back on here and try to fix that real quick. We'd rather have it now than in-game.
Yeah, I'm still freezing, so I'm not going to pause yet. I'm going to wait for it to calm down, and then I'm
going to leave my clean feed at 7.3, 7.7. Still have a couple of stutters in here, so...
yeah, I'm getting lots of stutters by side.
Yeah.
So I'm literally just going to wait for it to become a smooth video again, and then I will start pausing.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the Lucio. What Lucio still does provide here, of course, guys, is burst protection, right? After level 10, when he has that shield online, when he has the sound barrier online, he can actually save people very nicely. And with his team comp being very range-focused, range-centric, right, with that Hanzo and Raynor, he actually has an easier time landing it on those as well, because he's got a pretty nice circle, nice radius around him. So if his team were to be all melee, he would actually have to get closer sometimes with the chance of getting interrupted. On the other hand, you see a Malfurion on the enemy team. So Twilight Dream could be a chance to interrupt Lucio's. If you've ever played Lucio against Malfurion, you know how painful it feels to have that channel time interrupted. Tetcher, I'm going to introduce the teams real quick, and then we're going to do a quick sync.
Just quickly, I'm on 7.6.
Okay, that should work flawlessly then.
Nice.
So on the left-hand side, with TeamNut being represented here by Mercy, Atui, Malthael, Nightmare, and Dia.
And on the right-hand side, it's SPT with Lucky, Melody C, Misaka, Soap, and ZZH. So once again, can we see Atui hopefully not replicate the performance of Merryday at the Eastern Clash and actually bring this Lucio to victory versus Super Perfect Team? Race potential is massively in favor of TeamNut, although we do not see the Exterminator.
And this is, oh, no Exterminator. Yeah, but you could argue you don't even need it here necessarily, because even without Exterminator, Raynor is pretty solid when it comes to racing Immortals, right? And with Hanzo alone, you already have so much, you really don't have to put all your eggs in one basket, right? In the meantime, though, Diablo, the hunter, becomes the hunted. He tried to lock down the blaze, but Garrosh had a say in that as well. So First Blood goes over to SPT. So Lucio, of course, we talked about his movement speed, right, and how useful it could be for heroes like Hanzo and Raynor that lack kind of an escape sometimes. Also, we can't, of course, forget about the boop that he provides, the knockback. So whenever Hanzo gets close, whenever Blaze gets close, he could, in theory, interrupt their combos and their engage potential.
This is true. Any kind of disruption is always going to be good, including rotation disruption, as we're currently seeing the odd boop into bushes. Just trying to deny this move into the top lane as Malthael and Raynor at Nightmare are trying to just clear out this lane. Hanzo has been left solo in the bot lane, at least for the moment.
Yeah, absolutely true. So let's see what Hanzo can actually do against Li Ming. This should pretty much be an even matchup. If none of the players actually makes any mistakes in the 1v1, nothing should ever happen. TeamNut already securing the first mercenary camp, but SPT is doing the exact same thing, just on the opposing side of the battleground. So this is a common theme we've seen in China. You know, the teams, although they are so keen on brawling, although they so much like to do it, they've basically just settled down here a little bit more.
Yeah, everything's calmed down for the moment, as we do see Lucio once again. Big old speed boost of Accelerando, looking to just be annoying, staying near to a wall as much as possible. Quick knockback. One Impaler thrown into tower range by Misaka, so it dies a little bit quicker. Very smart. This is something that only really Garrosh and Diablo can do effectively. EDC can do it as well, but he puts himself in a much more dangerous position to do so.
Yeah, and if you're playing those heroes yourselves, guys, in Hero League or Team League, for example, don't feel afraid to actually use those cooldowns and the mana to do so, because it's really going to speed up your clearing process quite a bit, and it's also going to keep your buildings in a little bit of a better shape and form. So, with those Immortals getting announced pretty soon. I mean, the teams are not even waiting for this announcement. And the reason why they actually want to take these camps so early, I feel like, is they want to make sure that they don't get interrupted or ganked. If you remember yesterday, Tetcher, on that Sky Temple game, in which RPG's Falstad actually flew blindly into that Bruiser camp, right? You want to make sure to basically get your mercenary camps when it's safe to do so without really getting ganked, interrupted, or stolen.
Yeah, that's the kind of move you can make only when you have enough knowledge on your opponent, and your opponent is just incredibly predictable. It was fantastic to see, but it's something that you're very rarely going to see, because there is going to be that 1 in 10 time. Nice, dodges away from it. There's going to be that 1 in 10 time that Gia dies, that you're going to move in there thinking that they do this 10 out of 10 times, but it's that 1 out of 10 times going to be like, you know what, I'm going to cap this early so we can rotate somewhere else.
And see, those kinds of moves are so risky when you play Lucio. True, Atui actually made it out alive, but at what cost, right? He was brought down so low. One more auto attack, one more magic missile here by Li Ming, and that would have been the end of Lucio. So in the end, what happened was TeamNut was left without a support because he was busy keeping himself alive, and that really costed the teammates dearly, right? So yeah, those aggressive Lucio plays, they can sometimes work with these aggressive spoops and knockbacks, but usually they render the team helpless without any sustain, without any support, so Tui needs to mind his positioning there a little bit more.
He does indeed. He did live though, so
that's good, yeah.
It is very much a trade-off as Li Ming poking away at the Immortal. This is the joy when you're on a defense against the Li Ming. She's just going to ping in, and Dia should really be trying to absorb at least a couple of these shots using a Soul Shield. As we just, literally Li Ming's just been uncontested this entire time. Mercy is dying in the backline as you can see Blaze and Phoenix have rotated around and have snuck in. Quick speed boost from Lucio, though, puts him in a safe position as Diablo goes on to deep game, dropping huge amounts of damage as Nightmare picks up the kill.
Yeah, that was a good idea by SPT to actually lay a little bit of a trap here onto that Hanzo. They tried to pincer him down with Phoenix and Blaze. However, Lucio was quick enough to actually help him out in a pincher, in a sticky situation. But with all that commotion, with all that distraction, I think SPT still, they grouped up faster, they rallied faster again, and they end up getting that first Immortal. It's not going to be a super powerful one, but still with 45% shields, it's a pretty significant boon to their advance. So a good idea by SPT. It almost backfired, but nice nice rallying, if you will, immediately here by SPT. But also good effort by TeamNut.
Indeed, it's looking very good for TeamNut right now. So we, in terms of against SPT relative-wise, they are currently behind, but I expected them to definitely not get any kills this game, at least in the early stage, but that was a really nice reaction by Tui, considering he's not on a burst support hero in any way.
Yeah, and
so
if you think about it, yesterday, the TeamNut, what they oftentimes would like to do is just, you know, get caught in those skirmishes early on in the middle, and they would actually pay dearly with those early trades because they lost them most of the time. So this time around, they're actually focusing a little more on those objectives, on those mercenaries, and although they lost this bottom forward, I think it's by no means a game-ending push.
As we see Soap hovering around at the top of the screen, not going to get himself caught out for the moment. Just we're going to let Yrel take that camp, which means it is just going to be a one-for-one camp trade.
Yep.
Especially with everyone else from TeamNut rotating up here. Soap is absolutely not going to get himself caught.
Diablo, by the way, going for a little bit of that auto-attack flavor that you were trying to basically promote your Tetcher earlier in HGC.
Yeah, I don't... This build is actually viable, so this is not the build I was promoting. As we see a nice little move in there onto the Yrel, who is taken out. But yeah, the build I'm promoting is Diabolical Momentum. Malevolence is actually just a straight-up decent build if you want to go for single target burst.
All right, Tetcher not fully content, not satisfied yet, but it is a first step in the right direction.
How dare they go for viability? No, it's all about that Diabolical Momentum to get that CDR. Life Leech is just sustain with it.
All right, 9.5 here now for SPT. They're starting to take a little bit of a lead here, dominating the rotations, you know, escaping whenever TeamNut is trying to lay a trap down as well. So yeah, TeamNut, well, by no means, once again, they're out of the game yet. They definitely have a potent team fighting composition, especially after level 10, with a couple of CC tools available, like that Dragon's Arrow, for example, like potentially an Apocalypse, and of course, good protection as well coming in from Lucio. So let's see what they're going to be able to do here. In this case, though, I think they should probably just try push for some buildings, maybe some towers in the top lane, and get additional experience this way. Look at that immediate taunt onto Lucio. No chance for him to actually survive this one without the sound barrier. Just perfect game sense by Misaka.
Yeah, absolutely crazy kill there coming in onto Lucio. Did not stand a chance. Gets taken out. Toss onto Dia. Quick charge out though, using Garrosh as the escape tool, and Dia will survive.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it as a Diablo, right? Whenever you have something to use on enemy heroes, well, use it on Garrosh because he is the furthest away target available for you. So good save by Dia, and that also bought them a little bit of time to maybe soak those last inches to that level 10 here. But let's not forget about the strength and potency of that incoming Immortal Tetcher. Full shield, full HP. There's absolutely nothing that TeamNut could have done without the support to stop this from happening.
Still only a one-level lead, though, for SPT, but that's probably about to change severely as they grab a full shield Immortal. But level 10 is online for TeamNut. There was a time for them to pop off and blow up with an APOC Dragon Arrow stun combo. Now would be the time.
Yeah.
Diving past the Immortal might be the move here. Once second it moves on to that force. Oh wow, are they going to try and wrap around with Diablo?
Ooh, I'm not so sure if I would do it immediately here because that fort is definitely going to fall. So that's not even an allied, objective that they can count on. So let this fort fall. Maybe try and wait for SPT to go in a little deeper here, closer to the keep towers and stuff like that. And then maybe with Dia, I actually would have preferred if Dia had stayed there towards the top or even tried to approach from the bottom. Because a straight on head-on engage is probably going to be a little bit too predictable for SPT. Let's see if they're just going to be happy with patient defense, or if they're going to try to make a play here. Slowly but surely, those structures are taking too much damage, Tetcher.
Yeah, that's still a pretty high health Immortal. It's burning through. This is the first Immortal. It's crushing through this. And... sorry, second Immortal, as we do see the charge onto Diablo. A little bit of damage, and a root onto Malthael, which tanks through. Looking to jump forward as the keep does survive, but Diablo goes in. The Dragon Arrow, though, does not land into the fray, gets lucky out of there. But there's the absorption coming in, the Ardent Defender from Malthael, keeping himself alive. And SPT, they've managed to trap Diablo here. They're looking to try and get the wraparound, but Pisaka's taking too much poke, and they have to back up.
Yeah, a couple of things, in my opinion, that went really wrong for TeamNut here in that defense. First of all, they took too long. Hold that thought, though, as Soap is actually trying to bait TeamNut into the re-engage. Yeah, it looks like SPT is just going to pull back here now. They can definitely be content with what they've achieved. Almost got the top keep here with that second Immortal. But yeah, first of all, I think TeamNut was not really sure on what to do. Like when they were getting close to the fort, Diablo was trying to set up a flank. Just pull back there at the very end. Probably his teammates weren't happy with the angle and that decision. And then when the keep was almost dead, only then did they choose to set up an engage. And the Dragon's Arrow then completely whiffing. They really needed that stun to set everything up.
We see the push continuing from SPT. They're looking to try and take down this keep. Consistent poke coming in from Soap with his full Q build. He moves in closer, so he's got that suppressing fire. He's got that extra crit damage on the level 7. Everything looks pretty good as they take down the first keep of the game. Diablo finally finishes his souls, and you can see... Yeah, that hasn't gone well. I don't know if that's just because he died earlier, or whether this is actually his first amount of souls gained.
Yeah, I think it's his first amount of max souls gained here. Otherwise, I don't think they would show this graphics, right?
So here's the trade-off there. So yes, Diablo is now about 5 minutes later than everyone else. He's gone for a malevolence build for starters, which means it is much harder to stack to gain extra souls from charging people into walls as opposed to from a consistent fire stumps, which means it's much harder to actually stack the quest. He has been zoned out a lot. He's been out of the minion wave a lot because it's Battlefield of Eternity. In terms of slow, it still is, but it's relatively wise not as bad as that makes it look.
Yeah, also you have to consider, of course, that BoE is a 2-lane map. On 2-lane maps, it's always a little harder to stack those souls up because you have one less lane to actually capitalize from on minions. Let's see. Dia is already in the shadows, lurking, but look at Soap, man. He knows exactly what's up. He's going to scout that bush with his incinerator, and yeah, we will have to try anew, maybe try to go in from a different angle. And Tetcher, we talked about this, right? The superior model racing coming from TeamNut, it's basically not a fact at the moment because they are the team that is always in the defense. Look at that jump, though. The sound barrier is good as well. A lot of protection, but nothing happens as retaliation.
But they are able to survive, which I would argue is still better than they would have expected, potentially, from that engage by SPT. But they still have a lot of tools. Twilight Dream still available for SPT. Garrosh engages, used the taunt, but he still is going to be able to put people into range of that Mafia and into that Blaze stun as they wait for the positioning. The halfway point is reached by SPT. The defensive TeamNut just hasn't worked out, and now is an aggressive side Immortal. TeamNut, they are wrapping around. Looks like they might try to make a move here. Look at Dia, almost wrapping all the way around, but immediately rumbled by Lee Mega, who just calamities onto his face. That's so risky.
That is so risky, but you know you're in a good position. You know when you're in control of a game when Melody C just pulls off the aggressive teleport here. I mean, they were trying to desperately get that level 13, but now Diablo is sitting below 50% HP. It's going to be a little rough for him, but this, I feel, could be the last chance for TeamNut to make something happen because that Immortal is already getting chunked down to pieces by Melody C. At least Hanzo is getting a little bit of preemptive damage done here. Dia needs to be careful. Here comes the engage into nothing.
Lucky took a lot of damage, but the follow-up was not there. Dia dies, trying to kill off Garrosh, who immediately just gets in the bunker. Beautiful Groundbreaker Twilight Dream onto Yarel, who can't get the Ardent Defender off in time due to the silence. Soap, though, is killed off by a Tui and Nightmare, but Nightmare and a Tui are in their own nightmare. Down they go to the salvo.
That was a good salvo indeed, and only Blaze falling here. I think the problem was that ZZH probably didn't have regrowth in off cooldown, and also sometimes when your allies are clumping up too much, which was definitely the case there, it might be hard for him to actually land it on the right targets. Maybe misclick. We don't know. It was really hard for him to save him there as a Malfurion. You don't have those burst heals available like Luther would, for example. But yeah, nice salvo, nice AoE damage once again by SPT, and they are looking to try and get their second keep of that game.
Keep getting focused down. Good Groundbreaker onto the No Souls Diablo. Rough position to be in, but he's trying to avoid that double death syndrome, and it's going to be so hard to get those stacks back because it is a Malevolence build Diablo.
That it is. And so far, unfortunately, I mean, I'm a big Lucio player and fan myself here, but Lucio doesn't really seem to be able to keep up with all the damage provided by Phoenix and Li Ning, especially while his Sound Fairy is on cooldown. Nightmare now in trouble. Movement speed engaged. They're trying to hold that core, but I can't see them being aggressive enough.
Nightmare! He dodges the stun, but the quick toss with the Wrecking Ball. The Immortal goes down as they dive deep, looking for any kind of play. A beautiful Apocalypse. The bunker goes down, but LDC is dropping.
He's dropping. Mercy in trouble. Gets taken out by Phoenix immediately here. Speaking of Phoenix, lucky repositioning himself, getting a little bit of distance in between himself and the enemy team. The focus and lockdown on Yarel. She gets blown to pieces as well. Even the friendly toss. Get that Phoenix into the front line. He goes boom on that Lucio. And that core is no more Tetcher. 1-0 in favor of SPT.
What beautiful timing by Soap on that charge, completely executing that Yarel.